Hello, everyone. My name is Tokes Ishmael. The Nigerians in the room have already called me Tokumbo. So, yes, I am Tokumbo, shortened to Tokes. I'm thrilled to be here. Yes, please. And I'm joined by Priya and Mary, who are going to help us demystify, slow chair, equity. But just a quick plug that although I'm recent, I'm the real deal because, um, Sarah's my girl. So, but no, I wouldn't even try and join that ranking. It's all yours. So thank you. So we have two amazing women here. I'm not going to read their bios. It's in the booklet that you saw on your seats, and you can read a lot about them. And we're going to have a grand time together. They're going to give us tons of advice. When you read their bios, you'll know that they're full of wisdom. And as we get, I feel so far away from you, but it's like, I'll touch you. That's okay, right? You'll know that we're in for a lot of wisdom. Now, we just heard an amazing story. Can we just give them another round of applause, please? Because that was an amazing story. It's like I'm a funder myself, and I was taking copious notes because maybe I might become a founder. Who knows? But we've just heard about raising funding, and at one point, you said get funding, get investors, and that's what we're going to talk about now. There's a continuum of what funding means, but we're going to focus on equity funding today. We're going to demystify it and make it a lot clearer. So without further ado, I'm going to go into some foundational parts of what we're going to talk about and go to the ABCs. What is equity funding and when is it right for you? And as a funder myself, when I say to founders, I can invest in your business, before I've finished saying business, they've run out the door because they're like, I don't want any money from anybody. But you've heard, get funded. So we're going to start at brass tacks. We're going to start with angel investing within the equity end of the spectrum. And I'm going to start here with you, Priya, because
Okay, I thought you were going to go with Mary as the angel queen.
yes, she is the angel queen, but I'm going to start with you because you're a non-executive director and advisor, which means that you advise lots of founders at the very early stage. And I just want to know very quickly, what is it that you say to them when you say it's time for you to go and speak to an angel investor?
So I think we had a fantastic summary there from Maria about sort of the things that she was thinking through when she was going for funding. The reality is, so much of this depends on where you want your business to be, and therefore what sort of rocket fuel you need to power it. And angel investing and Mary will tell us lots more about the world of angels, but angel investing is a brilliant way to get some early stage backing to take your idea to the next level. And what it can also give you, and again, Mary's got so much experience of this, it can give you access to some people who've been there, done that in a similar space. Yeah. So not only are you getting some money, but you're also getting access to fantastic advisors who can really help and support you. Because the reality is, and we talked in the earlier conversation about this concept of sort of friends and family money. Not everyone has access to friends and family money. Not everyone has a bank account where they can sort of fund the start of their journey. And so actually being in a position where through angel networks like the one that Mary herself runs can give you access to people who want to support you with money, but also want to support you in terms of advice and their experience, that's a fantastic way to start your growth journey.
You're telling them you need money, but you need more.
Yeah, you need more because at that point when you're starting out, you don't necessarily have all the answers. And I think as women, we're quite good at recognizing we don't have all the answers. But with angels, you can get a fantastic pool of people who may not have all the answers, but they'll be able to help you. And that's really important.
So Mary, Priya's told us that angel investing is money plus.
She's done a great sell there for why people need angel investors.
Exactly, which is why I started with her, because obviously when the angel tells people in the room that you need angel investors, they might say, oh, really? Do I need you? But what is the difference?
Honestly, that's also a good point. Do you really need to think about whether you actually need investment? Because I promise you, the day that you sell your business, the more equity that you own yourself, the happier you will be. But that's not always an easy circle to square, you know? So
This is true.
you have to trade off.
And between the angel investing and selling your business, there could be other types of funding, like what people say venture capital investing
Or debt finance.
or debt financing. So perhaps, Mary, you can take us through some of that continuum and tell us, for people to understand, if they're going looking for money, what's the difference between angel investing and venture capital?
Sometimes founders don't understand that when they bring on an early angel investor, they're actually parting with part of their business. Sometimes they misunderstand this. They think it's like a bank loan where you can pay it back and you can get the equity back again. It's not. You are entering into a relationship with a person usually who is going to own part of your business. And as Priya has mentioned very eloquently there, if you get the right angel investor, they're going to help you grow your business because it's going to be smart money. That's what you're looking for, folks, is smart money. You're not looking for someone to just give you some money. You're looking for someone to bring their smarts with them and to open doors for you, bring you customers, open up new markets for you, things like that. That's what you should be really looking for. Angel investment is a great way to do that because you have, certainly here in the UK, you've got a lot of tax incentives to offer to those people. So it allows you to really target people that have got specific domain expertise that might not already be investors. Because if you've got an SEIS business, I'm not going to go into the details of that now, but it means that your investor, when they say they invest £50,000 in your business, they can get £25,000 of that back straight away against their tax bill. So that's a very sort of, really, really motivating way to bring on smart money into your business. And you should really, really think about who you're bringing in as part of that early round. Like Priya talked about the friends and family. That might be an easy way to get money, but you probably don't want it because often if you bring on your friends and family, the investors that come later will tell you to get rid of them off your cap table. And that's very, very embarrassing. If it's your mom or your dad or your cousins or whatever, you need to go back to them and say, my new investors don't want you in my business, so I need to get you off my cap table. And that's not an easy, it's not an easy conversation to have with your family.
And just to be clear, a smart investor is one who's not just bringing money, but bringing all those things: networks, access to markets, access to other funders, their experience in an industry. So how do we know what kind of funding is right for us, whether it's venture capital, angel, equity, debt? How do we know what's best suited for us? Can you tell us, Priya?
So I think it really depends on your business and where you want to take your business. And also, frankly, what is the position that you're starting with when you're starting that business. I think one of the things that we should also recognize as being great is somebody who doesn't take external finance, makes money, and builds a business without, to your point, without having to take external equity. But that's not the topic of this panel, so I won't go down that path. But the reality is that actually, we've talked there about angel investment, VC investment, and that's something else that I'm quite heavily involved with. VC investment is a very particular type of capital. And it will only work if you have a particular type of ambition for your business. So the sort of ambition that will have an exponential growth journey and have such a sizable potential outcome for your business that these investors who come in, who see that, 10x multiple, 100x multiple as their end goal, will be then aligned with your ambition. we talked in the context of angel investing around actually having people coming in who are smart money, to use your phrase, Mary. I think it is also really important when you're then looking at VCs to make sure that the ambition is aligned. Who are you bringing in? Because it's like a marriage. Having an investor is like a marriage. They're going to be on your cap table for a long time. You need to have an alignment of vision, alignment of interest, and be clear that you're both aiming towards the same end goal.
Yeah, and that's really important. And we're going to come on to that when we talk about pitching, because really there are some people that will say, I just want to build a lifestyle business. I don't need to go looking for millions of dollars or pounds. I just want to build something that makes me feel good. So, and the way you talk about that is going to be very different. But before we move on to that, very quickly, rapid fire, both of you, what's the biggest misconception that you've heard from founders who are looking for money or shying away from that money?
So what I would say is, don't ever expect the VCs to love you. Your angels might love you, but your VCs never will. It's a different sort of relationship, and be very, very clear about that before you take their money. Your VCs will, honestly, they'll ring you at midnight. They'll expect you to answer a call, and they'll ask you to go through your financials with them or whatever at that time of night, because perhaps they're in the Bay Area and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon with them. They haven't thought that it's midnight with you and that you might be in bed. They don't really care. What they care about is making money. Your angels, on the other hand, may actually love you a little bit, and they really care about you. They want you to grow. They want your business to grow, and they want you to be successful. It's a different sort of relationship. So be very clear. And we mentioned debt finance. That's the cleanest of all. You borrow money from somebody and you pay it back. There isn't any long-term relationship there. And if you can do that for your business, that's also a great way to grow. Yeah.
Do founders have misconceptions about VCs and angel investors in that way, Priya?
Well, I never thought I'd be sitting here trying to defend the culture of a VC, but and I don't plan to do that either. Rest assured. That said, I think what we're talking about here is alignment, just making sure that you're on the same page as the people you're bringing in. If you're talking about sort of misconceptions, I think one of the biggest misconceptions I generally work in the technology side of the house. There is a misconception that if you have a technology business, you have to get VC. That's the right capital for your business. I think that is an incorrect assumption, because actually there are lots of other types of capital that might work for technology. VC is one, but it's not the only one. I think the other thing that is also worth flagging is that this is giving away equity, and Mary said this right at the beginning. Giving away equity in your business is a really big decision. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions that I've seen, unfortunately, happen to more female founders than I have more generally, is that female founders sometimes give away too much equity too early. So when you're deciding how much equity to give away at the beginning, just use a friendly room, use the people that you're seeing in the room tonight to just sense check. Is that the right amount of equity for this particular size of round at this stage of my business before you sign it away? Because once you've lost control of your business, it's a really difficult position for you to end up in.
So actually, that's one of the biggest misconceptions that I have when I speak to founders, that as soon as they take my money, I'm going to take their business. And I spend a lot of time educating that actually I'm there to partner with them. The other thing I'll say is that in terms of misconceptions about the type of capital for the businesses, because if you're taking on debt and you're not really generating a profit, should you be taking on debt? So one of the biggest misconceptions is that actually I can take any kind of capital into my business. I think the capital has to be suited for the business and the stage of the business. So let's talk about pitching, which is the next level up. Once you've decided that you do want to bring on investors, how do you bring them on? So you've seen tons of pitches. You've heard lots of stories. What grabs you most in a pitch that makes you say yes?
So for me, it's a story and a person. Actually, particularly at sort of relatively early stage of investing, you're really investing in that individual. And the best companies that I've seen come from a personal story, come from a reason why this individual went to build that particular business and find a particular solution for their particular problem. And when someone can bring that together and can really sort of wow you with what that compelling narrative is, it gives you the reassurance to know that they can actually build that business really solidly.
Yeah, and is that the same
So I
with you,
also
Mary?
think women are far more likely to do this than men, because women are far less likely to be, you know, city boys that have done well, that are now going to solve the world's problems by starting a company about something that they know nothing about. Women are far more likely to start a business in something that they have deep domain expertise, where they really know what the problem is that they're solving. And back to Priya's point, they're going to weave a lovely story about that. And they're going to tell you how they're going to do this. So it's always, always about the team, because you know what? Most businesses, most startups anyway, they pivot. So what you see them pitching to you today is likely to be different next week.
Yeah,
All startups pivot. I'm going to say it twice. All startups pivot.
yeah.
You know, it's part of the journey. So what you're really doing is you're investing in that person and that person's ability to adapt to the market and the changes that are going to happen as they launch their business and as they progress it. So it's the person that you're buying into.
So
Yeah, the
people,
idea is kind
people,
of like,
people.
ideas are 10 a penny.
Yeah.
It's the person and whether you believe that that person's actually going to, or the people, whether they're going to be able to execute against what they say that they're going to do.
Yeah, I usually say to my founders that plan A is not the final plan, and that's why we have 26 letters in the alphabet. So go figure. Um, but once you have gone past the pitch and there's interest, what are the key things that need to be considered for alignment? We've spoken about dream, ambition, where we're going, but along the line, and we heard the story that, you know, that we call it the valley of death. During that valley of death, it's important to understand the alignment. Maybe one or two points
Maybe I'll
from,
start here, Tok. So it's very, very unlikely that I meet you this evening and I invest in your business this week. That's not going to happen. I'm going to probably know you for between 9 and 12 months before I write a check. Because for me, I want to see how you perform when things don't go well, or, you know, I want to get to know you a little bit, because I think you said it's a bit like a marriage. I want to, we're going to be together for 5, 6, 7 years. I want to make sure that we're a good match and that we get on well together and that we're going to be able to work together. So that's something to really keep in mind if you're thinking about raising money. You need to have conversations with people a long, long time before you expect them to write a check.
yeah, and I'm just going to have a last question with you, Priya. So pivoting quite a bit here to the fact that, so we have many female founders in the room. There's been quite a bit of backlash against inclusive finance. What is your hope and your view of what inclusive finance, particularly being intentional about investing in female founders, will be over the coming years, given what's all in the environment, all the noise?
So there is a big misnomer for me around this area. I don't ask someone to invest in a woman because it's part of some corporate social responsibility. I would encourage them to invest in a woman because women are underinvested in generally, which means that that is a fantastic opportunity for you as an investor who wants to make money, to make some money by investing in that person that other people are not seeing. That's point one. Point two for me is that, you know, we have a lot of problems in the world. we have a lot of things that we need to challenge collectively. And we're not going to get to that end goal if we don't have 50% of the brains at the table to come up with the solutions. So for me, it's not a hope, it's not an aspiration. It is just a reality of the status quo. We need women to be invested in because we need to make money and because we need the brains to get to solve the world's biggest challenges. And that's just really simple.
That's great. I'm sure you'll agree with me that we could have spent the whole day speaking to our two panelists today. We've heard a lot about how we think about choosing investors, choosing the type of capital. Remember, you want smart investors. Don't take dumb money. Just because someone comes with money, if they don't have the right resources that is right for you at your stage of your business, go look for someone who does have that. Look for investors that can add value, pitch yourselves with your story, your idea, talk about it. Storytelling is key with value, because you do have that value. And lastly, you're not just there to make up the numbers when we talk about inclusive finance. Really, any business that doesn't have diversity is missing out on how to govern well, how to risk mitigate well, how to innovate well. So really, any other investors in the room, it's not about just doing it because it's for the pink dollar, but it's because it is, it does provide dividends, and no team can play with half of its football team. So can we say thank you to our panelists?